And Wisconsin Republican Ron Johnson is on the Senate Budget Committee. Sir, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for having me on.
Listen, I know a lot of Americans went to the pool or the beach or they hung out with family and friends over the weekend. But this thing was moving fast. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Where are we now on Monday?
Well, nobody still knows. And let me just correct you. We're not talking about cutting into the $14.3 trillion debt. We're trying to cut into the $26 trillion debt that the president has us scheduled to incur over the next 10 years. That's what the size of our debt would be if we follow his budget. So we're trying to prevent the fact that we're bankrupting this nation. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that the last thing I heard about Harry Reid's proposal, you know, he's supposedly coming up with $2.7 trillion in cuts. My guess is those things will be about 10 years in the future. That would still leave our debt at what, about $23.7 trillion? Or 23.3, it's still massive. We are not preventing the bankruptcy of America.
It's math that a lot of us, frankly, can't do on the fly because the numbers are so big. But I know what you're worried about. The cuts come years down the road. You want the cuts that come immediately in order to take that debt number now, or at least control it and control the growth. But again, the question is, where are we? Are we closer or further apart than ever?
Well, the Republicans actually are the only party that has actually put forward plans. Love it or hate it, we have a House budget. Now we've passed the cut, cap, and balance plan. And Bill, I think that really is what we need to do to solve this problem. We've got to put those hard spending caps, instill the fiscal discipline, and in the end, I think we need a constitutional amendment to limit the size, the scope, and the cost of government. Until we do that, I just don't see there's going to be the political will to actually prioritize spending, which is what we've never done here in town.
But that balanced budget amendment, it died on Friday morning on the floor of the Senate, your chamber in Congress, but you believe it can be revived and live to see another day. How?
Bill, it had about a 3-day life because everything was being held up by these secret negotiations, which I believe the American public is just sick of, these secret negotiations behind closed doors. This should be out in the public arena. And I say if we give the cut, cap, and balance a little bit more of a chance, 66% of Americans already say they favor that approach. 74% of Americans want a constitutional amendment. And I was just on another show earlier with Senator Tom Carper. He would like to see, it sounds like, a constitutional amendment. So I think that is the basis for a bipartisan agreement, and we can do that pretty fast, Bill.
But you know, sorry to interrupt you here, and I know you think it can come back, and I don't know if the calendar favors you on that. Because August 2nd's coming up, and everybody says that's the day you got to get it done. If we do not have an idea to go forward on the 2nd of August, what do you think happens?
Listen, I've been on record saying I'd be willing to agree to a short-term deal as long as we use that short period of time, whether it's 30 days or 60 days, to do nothing but actually fix the problem long-term. Not short-term deals, not a $2.4 trillion increase to the debt ceiling that just gets us by, basically the 2012 election. I mean, I think that's a little smelly right there in terms of, what they're concerned about. The president's only concerned about his re-election. No, we're concerned about actually preventing the bankrupting of America. And I think that's one of the problems is I don't think the political class here understands the freshman class. The only guarantee I made during my election campaign was I would never vote with my re-election in mind. I came here to prevent America from going bankrupt, and that's what we need to concentrate on, and that's what a constitutional amendment would do. Let's give that a little bit more time in the public arena. I think the American people would support that. In the end, we'd let the American people decide. We pass it to the states would decide. I think that's a pretty reasonable deal.
He's a first-termer. He's been there about 7 months, and I know you're sick of the place already because you said it last time we talked. Hang in there. Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.